guys, and welcome back. So this is the third time that I am trying to film this video. Hopefully this time it actually works. I have been having technical difficulties with my mic and it's just giving me the blues. So anyway, what I really want to talk about today is the Colourpop No Filter Concealer versus the Tarte Shape Tape. If you have oily skin, let's be honest, if you have any kind of skin, there are a lot of people who call the Tarte Shape Tape their holy grail #1 concealer. There are also a lot of people that said that the Colourpop No Filter Concealer was going to be a pretty good dupe for the Tarte Shape Tape. So, obviously I had to try it out. So let's start out on the biggest point for me, which is the shade range. So I have two of the lightest colors in both the No Filter Concealer and the Tarte Shape Tape. I have Fair and Fair Beige in Tarte Shape Tape, and I have Fair 5 and Fair Neutral 10 in the No Filter Concealer. So I'm going to insert some swatches here for you guys so you can kind of see the difference. Now, in the tubes, these look almost identical, and I think that's where people started saying, oh my god, it's going to be a dupe for the Tarte Shape Tape. But once you actually apply the concealers on the skin, the Tarte Shape Tape stays very true to the color that you see in the tube. The Colourpop No Filter Concealer ends up just oxidizing like crazy. So you can see on my arm, I know the lighting is probably not the best, but the Colourpop concealer is leaps and bounds darker than the Tarte Shape Tape, and it looks a lot more orange. In the tube, it looks exactly the same as the Tarte Shape Tape, but it goes on like 3 shades darker and then continues to oxidize as you wear it. That's not a deal breaker, but for me, I have very fair skin, and there are people who have fairer skin than I do, and they have a more difficult time finding the right colors for them. Having these oxidize so badly and go on so orange, it really limits the audience that can actually use this. Now, because it does go on very orange, I do actually like this under my eyes because I do tend to have pretty crazy dark circles because I am a normal person. And this works really well on those because the orange kind of helps counteract the blue, and we're good. I'm actually wearing this today under my eyes, so I do like it under my eyes quite a bit. But I tried to highlight with it as well, the lightest shade, Fair, and all the places that I tried to highlight with, it just kind of feels like it didn't quite set. And then it looks more cakey in those areas, so like my forehead and my chin especially, because I didn't feel like this layers very well on top of a foundation. I tend to go kind of light on foundation under my eyes because that is not an area that I want to look super cakey. So this on top of whatever's under my eyes works perfect, but on the rest of my face, no. Now the Tarte Shape Tape does work a lot better on the rest of my face than the No Filter Concealer did. I also don't like the No Filter Concealer for blemishes. I had one here on my chin earlier this week that was really painful and obnoxious. The places where I get blemishes, I tend to get oily quicker and just more in general, just like super oily in those areas. This couldn't stand up to that. It broke down and basically just exposed the blemish to the whole world, which is not what I wanted from a concealer. But the Tarte Shape Tape really does stay put. You have to use like the tiniest amount and use a very itty bitty little brush to apply it to your blemish, but stays put all day and it can withstand, the ultra greasy aimee skin, but unfortunately, this one really couldn't hold up. So one other thing that I do have to applaud Colourpop for is their applicator. If you guys have ever tried the Shape Tape, or if you've just ever seen a bottle of the Shape Tape, you will know that it has the most ridiculous doe foot applicator ever. It is just, like, almost obscene how big this is, because it is not precise in the least bit. Now, the No Filter Concealer has an awesome applicator, so I give them a lot of props for this. So, it looks like a doe foot applicator, but it doesn't actually have the doe foot. It's just flat up and down on both sides. But what really gets it for me is that it's flexible. It bends and it conforms to the contours of your face. So it really gets into the areas you want it in. You know, there's no fuss with it. I love that applicator, and I wish more concealers use that instead of the doe foot. So did I really think that the No Filter Concealer was a dupe for the Tarte Shape Tape? Not really. But it is a really good deal for $6. I would probably recommend it if you didn't have oily skin. Like, anywhere from normal to dry, I think this would be amazing on you. And even if you're combo, I think depending on where you get oily and like where your drier spots are, this could still be really good for you too. But just on oily skin, like if you just have straight up oily skin like I do, no. It worked really well under my eyes because my under eyes are slightly less oily than the rest of my face, so works great there. Also because it has an orange undertone, works great for those dark circles, but on the rest of my face, no. While the Tarte Shape Tape is a lot thicker of a consistency straight out of the tube, it blends into your skin so effortlessly, and it just looks like a second skin for the most part. It looks great. This one, you know, like I said earlier, when you start layering it, as if you're trying to highlight with it, and you start layering it on top of your foundation, it just, on me, and I don't know if it's, I've tried like 3 different foundations with it and did the same for all 3. So I'm kind of thinking it's just either they don't mesh well on top of foundations, which I feel like is kind of pointless. I mean, then what's the point of having this concealer? Or it's just because my skin is oily and it never really sets. And that's kind of what I'm leaning towards, I think. You know, I put it on my chin and my forehead, and it still kind of feels, it doesn't feel tacky, but it still feels like it's not totally set. And I think that's part of the reason why it looks cakey and doesn't last as long in those areas. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I just really wanted to film it because I had very strong opinions about how I felt about the Colourpop concealer. It was more like, oh, I really like this, and then I really hate this, and there was nothing in between for me. It was either I really liked things or I really hated things. But if you guys haven't heard, although I'm sure you have, Colourpop will be coming to Sephora in November. So, you know, while I don't think the concealer is the best thing ever for oily skin, it is only $6. So if you can catch it in a Sephora, you know, I do think it's worth trying out, especially if you do not have oily skin. So, there you go. Thank you guys so much for watching, and again, I was very opinionated on some of these things, but I did feel like it was important to talk about because there just aren't a lot of reviews out there, or, you know, products out there made for oily skin, and sometimes you have to take matters into your own hands. If you guys like these videos, don't forget, like always, to give them a big thumbs up and subscribe before you leave. I hope you guys are having an awesome weekend, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye, guys.